This is the first estate, and this lesson centers on Ephraim is a cake not turned. On your screen is an image of the Strong's Concordance. This book contains the definition of every word in the King James Bible, Old and New Testament. Within it is a print off from the Blue Letter Bible, Strong's Concordance, and the word is Ephraim. Now, as you can see, what Ephraim means, double ash heap, or shall be doubly fruitful. Okay, so moving along, says here, and as you can see, double land, twin land. We're speaking of North and South America. Okay, that's the double twin land. All right. Now, Ephraim, of course, is Joseph's youngest son. Okay, so as we move along, it's the Nag Hammadi Gnostic text. Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, which means the secret or hidden knowledge of God. Within it, we're going to go to the gospel of truth. The Father knows his plans in paradise. I'm going to go to the second paragraph. The Father is at rest and will. Nothing happens without his pleasure. Nothing happens without the Father's will. And his will is incomprehensible. His will is his footprint. So like your fingerprint, your footprint is your signature. And I always use Bigfoot as an analogy because that's how he's known, by his enormous foot. Okay, so in other words, will is God's name. Now, we're going to move along. Brings us here to the word will. And as you can see, what one wishes, okay, and what has determined shall be done. So all things came into existence by the will of God. Okay. Now here we have the word helm, which means a ship's rudder. Now, in the top left-hand corner of the screen, that's where you can keep track of the biblical verses I will be using throughout this lesson. So, we're going to start off with the book of James, chapter 3, verse 4. Behold also the ships, which, though they be so great and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever their governor listeth. That governor being Jesus, who even in his infant state could guide a ship. Okay, so now we have the breakdown. Wilhelm, written in the scripture. Here we have the name Williams. As you can see, Williams, lost tribes of Israel. All right, yes, they are. And their symbol is the rose. All right. Now, second page of that name, Williams. And as you can see, Williams breaks down to Wilhelm. That's the Germanic version of the name. The English would be Williams, and French would be Guillaume. Okay, but interestingly enough, German, the word germ, means birth or origin. So that's the origin of man. So Williams is the first name. Remember, all things came to existence by the will of God. So will right here, and then helm, helmet of protection. Once again, we see the symbol of the rose. Now, we're going to go to the book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. So, King Solomon is of this name. Remember, it's the first name in existence, Williams. Will, I am. Remember, God said, I am that I am. King Solomon is the son of King David. So this is the chief house of uh, David. Now, Jesus is also from that Davidic line. Okay, so there we go. So as we move along, we have the name Willie, which means William. Okay, and we see the name here, Willow. Okay, so this is like the female version of it, the name. All right, so as we move on to here, we go to Willow. So written right in the scripture. And we're going to go to the key. The key says Arab. Arab. See that? Arab for Willow. So the original Arabs were Williams. All right? So whenever somebody says, yeah, Jesus was an Arab, that's code speak. All right? Because Arabs don't have names like Williams. Anyway, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 44, verse 4, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water courses. All right? Now, this is very important because we're going somewhere with this. Brings us here to the name Esau. Now, Esau, as you can see, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah, and twin brother of Jacob, sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor of the Arab peoples. See, so Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob all started with this line of the Williams. Remember, all things came into existence by the will of God. So, as we move on, here we have the lost books of the Bible, great rejected texts, and within this book, we're going to go to the book of Jubilees. Now, in the book of Jubilees, chapter 20, verses 11 through 13, going to read a little something. So here we go. Jubilees, chapter 20, verse 11 through 13. All right, so he gave to Ishmael and to his sons and to the sons of Keturah gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son. And he gave everything to Isaac his son. Ishmael and his sons and the sons of Keturah and their sons went together and settled from Paran to the border of Babylon in all the land that is toward the east, facing the desert. These mingled, intermarried with each other, and their names were called Arabs and Ishmaelites. Okay? So, these Arabs, all right, mixed with each other, with the Ishmaelites. And the Ishmaelites, those are really Israelites. Those are really the tribes, mainly of Dan, that were cast off, that were there in existence even before the nation of Israel was formed. Okay? So I just want to point that out. So as we move on, now as you can see, Arabian or Arab means mixed. So the tribe of Dan, which would be also Abraham's father, Terah, and because the line of Israel didn't start with Abraham's father, it started with Abraham. And there's a thing called reincarnation. So in order to bring them back through the reincarnation, a mixture took place. All right? So, brings us here. Okay? So, to Ephraim. Cake, not turned. All right? So, we're going to go to the book of Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Now we know what that mixture is speaking of. Okay? In the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, to the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Beauty for ashes, because, as you can see, remember, Ephraim means ash heap. Here we have an ash cake. Okay, so Ephraim is a cake not turned. Now, we're going to go to the key right up here. See the key? UGGA, Uga. All right. So, as we move along, brings us here, Uga Booga, because we are going to show that Ephraim is actually black. All right. Like I stated before, all 12 tribes are black, and today I'm going to prove to you that Ephraim is black. So we have Uga Booga. This is a term associated with people mocking black people, all right? The Negro. So I'm not going to read this. I'm going to leave it here for a moment and just scroll. And you can read this at your own leisure, all right? So, but anyway, Uga just means a ug face, all right? Person with an ugly face, an unattractive human being. That's not the Latin Americans because they're seen as very attractive people. True or false? I'm very true. So, we're going to go to the next verse, and that will be in the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 6. And from the daughter of Zion all her beauty is departed. Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture, and they are gone without strength before the pursuer. All right? Stick with the book of Lamentations. We're going to go to chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, We have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we looked for. We have found, we have seen it. The Lord hath done that which he had devised. He hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and hath not pitied, and he hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. So, the Israelites, or the Negroes, blacks, which are the true Jews, were once the perfection of beauty. We mirrored the Most High God, the Trinity. We were the perfection of beauty, and God stripped that away. He took away all of our beauty, inside and out. Okay? So, Ug face. Okay? Ephraim is a cake not turned. All right? But remember, he will restore our beauty once we're in the kingdom, those who make it. Remember, he will restore them beauty for ashes, their sadness. All right? So, here we go. Once again, ooga booga boo. These people really hate us, you know? So, as you can see right here, just going to leave it there and you can read it in your own leisure. Okay, I already know the gist of this. So, it's the second page of it, of this particular song. Ooga booga boo. Look at that. Ooga booga boo. I mean, they just simply mock our unattractiveness. And guess what? This is the female that wrote the song Ooga Booga Boo. Okay, her name is Rachel Rambach. All right, and she's so proud of herself that she wrote this song. Okay, here we have Spike Jones. All right, and look at this, down in Jungle Town. Ooga Booga Boo, Ooga Booga Boo. Okay, see, I mean, very, very happy. Let me just zoom in a bit more. And as you can see, yeah, down in Jungle Town, Spike Jones. So these people take great glory in our downfall. Okay, not just the you know, people call themselves white society, but all Gentiles, all non-blacks. When I say non-blacks, the Africans or the people living on the continent of Africa are included in that group because they are not us. They are of the children of Ham. We are of the children of Shem. All right? That's who we are. Gentiles are the children of the fallen angels. All right? So, Jungle Town. Remember this movie, Jungle Fever. Okay? See, Wesley Snipes starred in this movie. Annabelle La Sciorra. Okay? Movie by Spike Lee. So, Jungle Fever. All right? Now, move on. Here's Wesley Snipes and Annabella. She's Italian. All right? So this is like when he speaks of, Spike Jones speaks of Jungle Town, he's speaking of us, black people. That's Ooga Booga. Okay? This has nothing to do with Latin Americans. All right? So here we go. Judah means praise. The son of Jacob by Leah. Okay? Now, second page of that print off. Here we go. After the division of the kingdom, the name of this tribe was applied to one of the kingdoms, which included the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, with a portion of Simeon and Dan, and had Jerusalem for its metropolis. After the carrying away of the 10 tribes and after the Babylonian exile, this name is applied to the whole land of Israel. All right, so brings us here. The word is black. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Naturally, because the world is our enemy. And there's no unity within this black Israelite, Aboriginal people of America, because that's who we are. This is the Holy Land, America. There's no unity. Okay, we are just a separate group, broken off into, can't even say factions. But anyway, because factions would actually indicate that you're in some form of fashion fighting back against, the system and everybody who comes against you. Anyway, so the gates there of language. Language means weak or feeble because that's what the majority of Negroes, blacks, Aboriginal people of this land are. The majority of them are weak, and the men behave like feeble little babies, because the majority of them are mama's boys. So, anyway, I just wanted to bring this lesson forward about Ephraim because there's a misconception out there that Ephraim is, you know, a Latino group. You know, the Puerto Ricans, I believe, or someone of that nature. Okay? But no, Ephraim is actually black. He's Joseph's son. Joseph is black. Okay? So, anyway, this has been the First Estate with another lesson, and I hope you've been edified.